Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
An episode of radio's outstanding theater of thrill, Suspense. This episode goes back to June 16th, 1949, the First Lady of Suspense, Agnes Moorehead, starring in The Trap.
Now, Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations present
Suspense. Tonight, Autolite brings you Miss Agnes Moorehead in The Trap, a suspense play produced and directed by Anton M. Leader. And now, Autolite presents Agnes Moorehead in a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
This the attic?
Since it's at the top of the house directly beneath the roof, what else could it be? Yes, this is the attic.
Air seems kind of dead in here.
My father used it for a studio when he was alive. It's soundproof. Sometimes he slept here.
Anybody sleeping in the Miss Crane?
I told you I lived alone. Alone. A-L-O-N-E. I've lived alone ever since my sister... Must you ask such stupid questions?
Anything missing or changed in this
Well,
room?
if there were, I'd have mentioned it. You've asked the same question about every room from the basement up. One thing is certain.
Well, one thing is certain. It ain't burglary, Miss
Oh,
Crane.
brilliant. Brilliant. And I agree. Since nothing is missing, it ain't, as you say, burglary. Really, now, I never knew such
Take
intelligence.
it easy, Miss Crane. Just try to relax.
Don't tell me to relax, please. I'm awakened in the middle of the night by someone whistling in a house I believe to be empty, except for myself. And I call the police, and what's the upshot of it all? Two incompetents clumping about, urging me to relax.
You sure you heard whistling? You sure?
Were you trying to tell me I was dreaming?
We ain't... we're not trying to tell you anything, but what we've got to try to discover is if there's a possible explanation. Now, right now, we find no sign of breaking and entering, no sign of burglary, no
I tell you, I heard it.
Anything like this ever happened before?
No. But this evening, when I was preparing dinner, there was a muffin missing from the bread box. I know I didn't eat it myself. And the clock in the hallway, when I was leaving for work yesterday, I noticed it had stopped, and I made a mental note to wind it when I returned, but when I came home, it was ticking away as if it had been... Why did you look at each other like that? Do you suspect me of harboring delusions? Do you think I'm a crank?
Well, no, of course not. You don't think Miss Crane here is a crank, do you, Larry?
Oh, don't try to humor me. I tell you, all these things happen.
We're not trying to humor
Oh, you are. But they did happen. Someone ate my food, wound my clock, walked through the house whistling. It's as though someone were living here with me. When they had gone, I thought of the house, the honeycomb of rooms and connecting closets upstairs. No one could be found up there, not if they didn't want to be. It would be easy to stay hidden, to slip from room to closet to room. I hurried to my bedroom and bolted the door and clamped the windows down to the sills, and then I lay in bed and listened. And listened. And suddenly it was morning and I'd overslept.
Careful, Miss Crane. You almost knocked me right off the porch.
Sorry, I didn't see you. I'm late for work.
Rush. Everybody these days seems to be in
overslept.
such...
Is there any mail for me?
Nope. I'd be out of a job if everybody got as few letters as you do.
I dare say you're right. I really must...
Not so fast. Something I got to explain to you.
Hey, Eddie, got anything for me?
Yeah, quite a few. Be right with you, Mr. Holmes.
Snap it up, will you? I've got to catch the train.
I'm very late.
This'll only take a second. Now, here, let me show you. Now, you filled out this part all right.
What?
But
What is this?
the Form 22 you left in your box for me. Order to change address. You filled out this part all right.
Order to change address?
Yeah,
What are you talking
these lines are filled out okay. Name, old address, and new address. But is that Thomas Cook and Son, Paris, France, or Thomas Coke and Son, Paris, France?
Well, it says Thomas Cook and
Hey,
Son,
Eddie,
but
what
I
do you
never...
say?
Just a second, Mr. Holmes. I'm showing Miss Crane how to fill out a change of address card.
Where's she going? Where you going, Miss Crane?
I don't understand. I never filled out...
I said, where's she going?
Paris,
No,
France.
I didn't put this card in the mailbox. I don't know
Eddie,
anything
do I
about
get my
it.
mail today or do
yeah,
I?
just... anyway, You forgot to write your signature down here at the bottom, Miss Crane, and unless you do that, your mail won't be forwarded, you understand?
No, I
So
don't
just please-
understand. I didn't fill out this card. Oh, there's my bus. Oh, here, give it to me. I have to run.
Well, if I don't see you again, Miss Crane, have a nice time.
On the bus, I examined the change of address card. The information it required had been typed, but not by me. I was sure of it. Not by me. By whom, then? I looked at the card again. The crossbar on the capital T was lopsided, and all the E's were out of line, slightly higher than the other letters. There couldn't be two typewriters with two such defects together. There could only be one. Suddenly, I felt sick to my stomach. There was only one typewriter like that, and I knew where it was. On the desk in my living room. I worked like an automaton all day, going through the usual routine of a physician's secretary. But my mind was not in the office. It was at home, following the intruder in my house from room to room. Now in the kitchen, now in the library, now perhaps in my bedroom, smiling a bleak, faceless smile and planning to... To what? Something dangerous? Something dangerous.
Helen. Helen.
Huh? Oh, yes, Doctor.
Yes, Doctor. Now relax, Helen. We're alone. It's time to close shop.
What?
Time to go home. What is it, Helen? Are you ill?
No, I well, it's just that I didn't get much sleep last night. I was awakened by someone whistling in my house.
What?
Yes, around 3 this morning. I phoned the police and they searched, but they weren't really looking. They didn't believe me, but I heard it. I heard it distinctly. I even recognized the tune.
Oh, relax, kid, relax. Now, come on now. You recognize the tune?
Yes, I recognize. Aloha. You know. Farewell to thee, farewell to thee, the time has come. Why do you smile?
Helen, if you came to me with this story as a patient, I'd prescribe a vacation. You want one so badly, you even dream you're about to go off on one. To Hawaii, no less. Complete with musical background.
Oh, how can you be so stupid? I'm sorry, Perry, but it's infuriating to be told it was a dream when I know that there are things happening in the house that frighten me. Last night there was a muffin missing from the bread box, and
You probably ate it.
Oh.
Now, everyone has had similar experiences. Now, many times I find a cigarette smoking in my hand, and I have no recollection of having lit it, you see.
Oh, and the clock? It was run down, and then it was going again, and I hadn't wound it.
It may not have been run down.
Oh,
Now, a gear may have jammed for a few minutes or something like that.
And this morning, the mailman told me about it.
Now, Helen, now, please listen to me. It seems to me that you're in a bad state of mind. You're finding dark omens and bloody portents in normal, everyday occurrences. You're being neurotic about these things. You're like Chicken Little running to tell the king the sky is falling. You go on like that, and pretty soon they'll come and wrap you in a cold, wet sheet.
You think I'm losing my mind? Hmm? You do.
No, I was only kidding. Say, are you still living alone in that big old barn of a house?
Yes, and it's not a barn. It's a perfect...
Okay. You're alone too much, Helen. How long has it been now since...
2 years. Jessica's been away almost 2 years.
Well, it was all right for you when she was there. I mean, she was a lively kid. She filled the house with excitement and energy.
And necking parties and drinking and great hulking boys following her around. It was disgusting. A lively kid. She was wild and a cheat and a liar
Now
and everything
stop
else.
it, Helen. I've no desire to rake over old coals. I'm only offering you sound advice. It's not good for you to remain in that house all by yourself. Now, why not rent out part of it? The whole upstairs, say. Fill the place with people and...
No. No, I don't want people in my house. It's my house now, and I like it the way it is.
Okay. Can I give you a lift?
No, thank you.
Right. Helen, if you don't like the idea of renting part of your house, why not close it entirely for a while and take a vacation? I recommend that as a doctor, even though it'll be tough getting along without you. Now think about it, will you? Think about it.
On my way home, I thought of what Perry had said. It was possible I'd been morbid about the whistling and the rest of it. It could be. As I walked down the street toward the house, I looked at it. And its familiarity was reassuring. This was no place of fear and mystery. This was my home, and there was no intruder, and really never had been.
Miss Crane?
Oh. Who is it?
It's me, Miss Crane, Harry Penning, Penning's luggage shop. Did I scare you?
Oh.
I'm sorry. Where's your porch light? I'll put it on.
Oh, it's at the left of the door.
See, it's me. I don't blame you for being scared. A voice coming out of the shadows like that.
Well, what do you want, Mr. Penning?
I brought the 2 valises you ordered.
The 2 valises I ordered.
Uh-huh. It was on my way home anyway, and I figured, well, I'll just put them in the car.
I didn't order any valises.
Well, sure you did. This afternoon, don't you remember? You said you wanted a big one and a little one. Leather, high grade.
I ordered them? I did?
Yes, I took the order myself this afternoon.
But I didn't. I was nowhere near your shop.
Oh, well, you telephoned. You said you were going on a vacation soon, and you wanted to have...
No, I didn't.
One of us is crazy, Miss Crane.
Crazy?
Well, when I say crazy, I don't mean crazy, of course. Excuse me. I mean, well, I know you ordered them and asked me to have them delivered.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's right. I remember now. 2 valises.
Yeah, that's it. I guess in the hustle and bustle of getting ready for a vacation, a thing like this could slip your mind.
Yes, it slipped my mind.
Yeah, well, now, you want to pay me now, or should I send you a bill?
Yes, send me a bill.
Yeah, well, have a nice time, Miss Crane. Believe me, I sure envy you. I sure do. I'd like to change places with you.
I carried the valises into the house and set them down in the hallway and stood there staring at them. Perry said I had dreamed of a vacation. Had I? And had I put a change of address card in the mailbox? And ordered these valises? Either I was losing my mind or I'd been right all along. Was there someone in my house? Someone who not only wanted to live there, but who also wanted me out? I was in an agony of confusion and indecision. And then... What's that? Oh, no. Oh, no. No.
Information.
The telephone number of the Daily Times. Hurry,
The
please.
editorial office or the business office?
The classified ads department.
That number is listed in your directory.
Yes.
The number is Avalon 1634.
1634. 1, 6, 3, 4.
Daily Times classified. May I help you?
My name is Helen Crane. I want to put an ad in the for rent column. 5 bedrooms, share bathrooms, low rent, inspection after 6 p.m. The address is 1132 Gerolman. I want it to run every day until further notice.
All right. Shall we bill you at that address?
Yes. Will that be in tomorrow's Times?
Yes, it will.
Oh, thank you. There! Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Do you know what that means? It means this house will soon be filled with people. There'll be people living here, eating here, sleeping here, crowding you out. There'll be no room for you, do you hear me? I know you want me to leave, but I'm not going. You are! You are! You are! You are! You
For Suspense, Autolite is bringing you Miss Agnes Moorehead in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
June 16th, 1949, Suspense on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Hey gang, just a note to let you know that we've notified all of our radio stations that our final episode of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox will be broadcast on all of our radio stations on June 30th of 2023. It is not something of your radio station. It's not because you haven't been responsive. It's because my doctors have said I need to take time off, and I need to take a significant time off. I can no longer work 90 hours a week. It's just that simple. So to let you know, Listen to the shows. Enjoy the shows while you can. Go to our friend Ted at RadioMemories.com. He supplies a lot of shows. And go to our webpage at classicradio.stream and learn how you can build your own classic radio collection. But again, June 30th will end Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Agnes Moorehead appeared 32 times on Suspense. Of course, her most famous, which she repeated several times, was Sorry, Wrong Number. And this episode, The Trap, June 16th, 1949. Suspense on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
And now, Autolite brings back to a Hollywood soundstage Agnes Moorehead as Helen in The Trap. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
My sleep that night was deep and refreshing, and I awoke next morning and went to the office feeling very pleased with myself. By noon, the Times would be on the stands with my ad. I might have tenants by tonight. After that, goodbye, unwanted guest. Good morning. Dr. Coleman's office.
I'd like to talk to Miss Crane.
Speaking.
This is the Hughes Lock and Key Company, Miss Crane. About that padlock you ordered.
Just a minute. What did you say it was I ordered?
Padlock, the one you ordered yesterday. This is Miss Crane, ain't it? Miss Helen Crane?
Yes.
Well, I think we located the kind you wanted. Believe me, it was a job doing it. In the first
The
place,
intruder wanted the padlock? Why? How did the padlock enter the scheme to force me out of the house? For a moment, I was frightened. Then I realized it didn't matter. I'd already taken steps to ensure my remaining. My house would soon be filled with people.
Do you want me to bring it over to the house now or later?
Now, if you like.
Will there be somebody there to let me in?
Oh, yes, somebody is there.
Okie doke. Thanks, Miss Crane. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Padlock. Why a padlock? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter now. At noon, I left the office and went down to the lobby for a newspaper. The Daily Times, please.
Here you are. Thanks. Hello, Helen. You on your lunch hour?
Yes, Perry.
Anything requiring my immediate attention up there, or have I time for a bite?
Oh, you have time.
I'll join you if I may.
Just a moment, Perry. I'm trying to find something in the paper.
Where shall we go? The coffee room here all right with you?
Yeah, that'll be all right.
Or would you prefer to go up the street to the Italian place?
Perry? Perry, it's not there. It's not in the paper. They told me it would be, but it's not.
What is it?
Have you got a nickel? I want to make a
Why,
call.
sure, Helen.
I'll be right out.
Daily Times Classified. May I help you?
This is Helen Crane. Why isn't my ad in the paper?
Did you place an ad with us, ma'am?
Yes, I did, over the phone last night, but it's not in there today. Why didn't you run it?
Well, just a second, ma'am. I'll check it with our phone orders. Was it supposed to start today?
Yes, it was.
Well, I have it here now. I remember. I took it myself. Helen Crane,
Yes?
1132 North Geralman?
Yes.
Well, the ad did not appear, ma'am, because shortly after it was placed, it was canceled.
What?
Canceled. The notation on the slip says that shortly after it was placed, it was canceled. Also by telephone. Hello? Hello?
Thank you.
Are you all right, Helen? Helen, are you all right? What is it, Helen? What is it? Do you feel ill?
Oh, I'll go upstairs and lie down for a few minutes.
You won't do anything of the sort. I'm sending you home in a cab right now. Now, you get into bed as soon as you arrive and phone me if you have a temperature. I'll try to drop in and see you first thing in the morning. And Helen,
Yes.
Oh, I wish you'd give some thought to taking that vacation.
There was no mystery about it, really. The intruder had overheard me placing the ad, that was all. Phoning in a cancellation was a simple matter. My head hurt. I tried to think what to do next, but my mind wouldn't work, and I was sick to my stomach. Finally, the cab pulled up in front of my house. My house.
Want me to help you to the door, miss?
No, I can make it. Thank you.
Miss Crane! Miss Crane!
Oh, yes. What is it, Mrs. Holmes?
Are you busy? May I speak to you for a minute?
What is it?
Well, I wanted to have a few words with you before you went on your vacation. My husband told me you were going to France. I certainly envy you, I do. And we had a talk, the mister and I.
What is it, Mrs. Holmes?
Well, We were wondering what you intended to do about the house. It's really none of our business, of course, but then again, we decided no harm to ask, is there? We'd like to know if you intend to put it up for sale, because if so, we'd like to consider buying it. The mister sometimes dabbles in real estate.
Sell it? Sell my house?
Well, that's what we'd like to know, whether you're going to or not. I spoke to Jessica about it this morning.
Jessica? You spoke to Jessica about it? Jessica?
Mm-hmm. She said she didn't know what your plans were beyond a long vacation, and that anything you wanted to do with the house was all right with her, because, well, after all, you're the older sister.
You spoke to Jessica about it?
You don't mind my speaking to her first, do you? It's only because you weren't here, and we wanted to know, and... Say, hasn't she blossomed out?
Who?
Jessica! Oh, her 2 years up there didn't do her a bit of harm, did they? She told me it was more like a college than a reform school. I guess she did learn a lot there. I asked her how she felt, about you for having committed her. And she said she'd always remember you for having given her a purpose in life.
Where is she? Jessica. Where is she?
I heard some hammering from upstairs in your house a few minutes ago, so I guess she must be up there. You won't forget to tell me, will you, about selling the house, I mean?
Hello?
Hello, Jessica?
Perry?
Oh, Helen, how do you feel now? You all right? Oh, listen, I've got that airline ticket for France for you. It's a good thing I know somebody with the company. I really had to throw my weight around. Everything is booked right through summer. Well, anyway, you've got your ticket.
June 16th, 1949, Suspense, The Trap, starring Agnes Moorehead on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The conclusion follows these important messages from your favorite radio station. Just going to take a minute here to tell you about the big savings going on now, the clearance sale at mypillow.com. And I've talked about how in my office I have a pair of my slippers, and they're really comfortable, and they're on clearance right now. The mypillow.com slippers, $25 a pair, limit 10. And I would buy 3 or 4 more pairs. Unfortunately, they're out of my size. They also have sheets, pillowcases, clothing items, all on special right now. Go to mypillow.com, click on the clearance tab at the top of the page, use my promo code Wyatt, or call 1-800-928-4715. Limited sizes remaining in the MyPillow slippers, limited colors on other items. mypillow.com, clearance tab, promo code Wyatt, 1-800-928-4715. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now the conclusion of Suspense, The Trap, June 16th, 1949.
You sure move fast, don't you, once you've made up your mind? I almost fell out of my chair when Jessica phoned me and told me you were going. Say, it's great her being back, isn't it? Hello.
Yes?
I'm delighted you decided to take a rest. Ought to do you a world of good. But why so long? 2 years abroad for you means 2 years without the best secretary I ever had. What am I...
Jessica! Jessica? Where are you? Why don't you come out? There's no point hiding any longer. I know now that it's you. Jessica! Why did you stay here without letting me know? Why did you insist on trying to send me away? Jessica, answer me! Jessica! All right, Jessica, all right. We'll forget the past. We'll start over. You're welcome to stay here, Jessica, for as long as you like. I sent you away only for your own good. For your own good. Now, please try to understand and believe that. You were wild and bad, and I had to do something, but it's all right now, isn't it? We'll live here together, you and I, won't we? And I won't hurt you, and you won't hurt me either, will you, Jessica? Sister? Where are you? Come out, please. You're frightening me. You wouldn't harm me, Jessica. You wouldn't harm me. It was for your own good. Where are you? You upstairs? Are you upstairs? Don't leave. Don't leave, Jessica. Stay there. I'm coming. I want to explain things to you. I want to explain how they were and how they are now. Do you understand? I don't see you.
where are you? Jessica, please let me see you. Say something to me. Oh, Jessica! Well, all right. I did wrong to send you away. I was wrong. I was jealous of you all the time. You were Papa's favorite and everyone else's too, and I was jealous. I admit it, you see. You always had all the boys you wanted, and I never had any, and it made me jealous. I'm honest with you, Jessica, and I'm letting you see what's in my heart. Won't you let me know what's in yours? Answer me. Oh, answer me. I know why you stole money, Jessica, and it was my fault. It was mine. I wouldn't let you have any. I wouldn't let you get a job. It was my fault. I know. You took the money, only run away from me. I was wrong, Jessica. I admit it. I confess it. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Truly, I'm sorry. Jessica! Are you up there in the attic? Wait there, Jessica. Don't leave. I'm coming up. You'll forgive me, won't you? Say you'll forgive me. If you let me explain, I know you'll forgive me. I'll make it up to you. You'll stay here with me. We'll be together. Are you here? Are you here in the attic, Jessica? Are you in? Jessica! Oh, no, Jessica! No, you can't do this. No, you can't lock me up in here. It's like a prison. It's like a prison. 2 years. Oh, 2 years. 2 years, Jessica! Are you out of here? Jessica, let me out! You can't do this! You can't keep me locked up in here! Jessica, please! Oh, please! Please, let me out! Please, Jessica! Hello, Perry?
Yes? Jessica?
Perry, Helen has just had what I think is a marvelous idea. She's busy finishing packing, or else she'd tell you herself. Anyway, it is a marvelous idea. That is, if it's all right with you.
What is it, Jessica?
Well, Helen suggests that since she'll be gone 2 years, why don't I take her place with you at the office?
Thank you, Agnes Moorehead, for your third splendid suspense performance this season. Suspense.
Agnes Moorehead may currently be seen in the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer production, The Stratton Story. Tonight's suspense play was adapted by Walter Newman and Ralph Rose from the story by Virginia Myers, with music composed by Lucien Morawek and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The entire production was under the direction of Anton M. Leader. In the coming weeks, Suspense will present such stars as Ralph Edwards and Joseph Cotton. Make it a point to listen each Thursday to Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills.
June 16th, 1949, Suspense on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. On a number of our shows, you hear talk about the Hummerts, about Frank and Ann Hummert as program creators. Well, this is one of the first shows they created, Betty and Bob, a soap opera. And this episode of the show started all the way back in 1932. This is an episode of the show that is dated June 16th, 1947, as they head to their hometown.
Going through life with Betty and Bob. This is Milton Cross, ladies and gentlemen, bringing up the curtain for a visit with two people familiar and dear to us all, Betty and Bob Drake. On the train that is rapidly approaching the town of Walton, we meet Betty and Bob Drake. A few hours ago, they left the city of Monroe, where they ran and still own that great fighting newspaper, The Trumpet. Upon the urgent advice of doctors, but against his will, Bob is going back to his country home to lead a quiet, restful life until he has completely recovered from the miraculous operation which made it possible for him to walk again. Yes, Betty had a difficult time persuading Bob that a return to the country and the simpler way of life was not only the best thing for him, but for their year-old twin babies, for Bob's mother, and for Claire Evans, the young widow of Bob's star reporter, and for Betty herself. Look at Bob. He's staring out of the window at the passing countryside. He's half frowning and muttering to himself. Betty watches him with a smile on her face.
You mad about something, darling?
Mad? Who's mad?
Would you like to take a look at yourself in my mirror?
No, thanks.
Well, I don't blame you. You'd frighten yourself to death the way you're glaring and grumbling.
I'm not doing anything of the sort.
What's the matter, darling? Don't you like the scenery? It's beautiful.
It's all right.
All right? Look at those hills and those green fields.
I've seen them before.
And look at that beautiful herd of cows.
Cows.
You are difficult.
I'm afraid city life has spoiled me, darling. Trumpet has, too. I miss the excitement of the city room, of scoops, of special editions. Life in the city was a constant fight, and I loved it.
But you're not in any condition to fight now.
Why not? I can walk again. I may not be able to do a 100-yard sprint for a while, but I can get around well enough to run my own newspaper. Let's go back.
You forget that Mother and Claire and the babies and Gardenia are at the house already.
I know. We'll get them and pack up again and beat it back to the city.
Today?
Sure, today. Why not?
You're crazy.
Darling, you've got to believe me. I'll never get used to hills and fields and cows again. For all the good the Trumpet has done, Monroe is still far from a perfect city. The crooked politicians are...
Oh, look! We're coming into Walton.
Fine state of affairs. From running the best newspaper in a city of 250,000 to sitting on a front porch in a village of 1,100 people.
Oh, it sounds wonderful to me. You loved this place before we left for Monroe, Bob. You're going to love it again.
People change. I've changed.
There's the station. See, look at that crowd.
Crowd? There aren't 20 people there.
Well, it's a crowd for Walton.
You wouldn't notice them on a street corner in the city.
Wonder who they're waiting for.
I couldn't tell you.
Bob, maybe there's somebody important on this train.
Well, then he wouldn't stop here.
Oh, come on now. Be a good boy. Porter, will you take our bags, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Darling, do you want me to help you get up?
I'll get up by myself. What?
Well, you don't have to snap at me like that.
Oh, I'm sorry, darling. I'm sorry for everything I've said.
All right.
Getting off the second car.
Mr. and Mrs. Drake.
Yeah?
I don't figure as how you remember me.
Oh, yes, we do. This is Jeff Patterson, who owns that big farm on the other side of the creek.
Oh, sure.
As a matter of fact, I see a lot of familiar faces here. Look, Bob, there's Joe Barnum and Cy Blaine and over there. Hello, how are you, Joe?
Glad to see you.
Hello. Say, don't tell me you've all come here just to welcome us.
Well, that's exactly what it is, Mrs. Drake. This is a welcoming committee. We didn't have much time to get organized. If we did, we'd have had a band here, too. But we only found out about your coming yesterday.
Well, Mr. Patterson,
If I remember correctly, you used to call me Jeff.
That's right. And we were nothing but Betty and Bob, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Well, last night we all kind of made up the speech together and voted and approved of it.
Well, all right, Jeff.
Now, don't get mixed up, Jeff. Don't let the words throw you.
I won't. Well, Betty and Bob, all the time you've been away in the city, we've been kind of watching you. We heard that paper was a bad proposition when you took it over, and we were all afraid you were going to get trimmed to the money you made out of oil down here. A lot of us even subscribed to the Trumpet. They had it sent out here.
Did you really?
Yeah. It was mighty fine paper. And we could see that you wasted no time making yourselves important people there in the city. We were all kind of sick with worry when you had that bad accident, Bob, and we were all kind of glad to hear that famous doctor fixed you up all right.
Oh, thanks.
And we're all more than kind of glad to have you back here with us. And, well, that's about all, I guess.
Oh, you left out about half of it, Jeff.
Well, maybe so. But I don't think I left out the feeling.
Jeff, I can't tell you how moved I am by this. I'm sure that Bob is, too.
Yes, I am.
We're glad to be back here, too. There's always something strange about coming back to a place you've been away from for a long time, but to come back and find friends waiting for you just as soon as you get off the train. Well, it's not just coming back. It's coming back home.
Well, that's a shorter and a better speech than I could ever have made. Well, come on now. We'll put your things in my car, and we'll all drive you home.
Well, that was a welcome that surely warmed the hearts of Betty and Bob. Later this evening, we find Betty and Bob and Claire Evans in the living room of their country house. The twins are asleep, and Bob's mother, tired by the preparations in getting the house ready, is asleep too. Betty and Bob are very fond of Claire Evans. In just a few months, Claire is going to have a baby. And so Betty and Bob, who helped her weather the terrible emotional distress which followed her young husband's death, look upon Claire with love and concern.
Do you really like it here, Claire?
Oh, I'm just crazy about it. The house is so beautiful, and the country itself. I just haven't the words to express it.
Yeah, it's very nice around here.
Oh, giving in, are you?
Yeah, afraid I am.
Bob, that welcoming committee this afternoon really found the soft spot in your heart.
Well, Betty, when you're away from people for a long time, you sort of forget. When you see them again, the fondness sort of comes back.
Well, everybody's been dropping in to ask if they could help or do any favors.
Now, I hope you haven't been working too hard, have you, Claire?
Oh, no.
You know, it's not so long before...
Yes, I know, but I'm taking good care of myself.
There it goes again.
What, Bob?
Somebody's firing a gun down the road. That's the third time I've heard it in the last hour.
Oh, well, it's probably a car backfiring.
No, Betty. Certainly isn't one of the farmers hunting. It's not only out of season, it's dark. Yeah, there it is again. I'm going out and find out what it's all about.
All right. You don't mind if Claire and I come with you?
No, you can come as my guest. Hey, look at those cars whiz by.
Yes. Say, it's in the direction of those shots.
Well, what could it be?
Funny.
Well, maybe some kind of trouble up the road, Bob.
Sounds like it's up on the next farm. Betty, what was the name of that farmer again?
Oh, you do have a terrible memory. It's that farmer Rusak with that roly-poly wife who was always laughing. And there's two darling little girls. Don't you remember? Anita and Marie. You don't mind if Claire and I come...
Wow! Ever since his wife died, he's been crazy as a...
Oh, yeah.
You?
No.
Hey, what's up?
Why, it's Joe Bonham.
Good evening, folks.
Say, Joe, we're still strangers around here. What's all the shooting for and why all these cars?
You mean you haven't found out about it yet?
Found out about what, Joe?
Well, that crazy foreigner Rusak is going wild. Ever since his wife died, he's been crazy as a loon.
His wife died?
Sure, and he's kept those two kids of his out of school. When the truant officer came around, old man Rusak shot him off with a shotgun.
Oh. Rusak did this?
Yeah. I always knew that guy had a bad streak in him, and an hour ago he shot one of the deputy sheriffs in the shoulder.
Come on, Joe, let's get going.
Yeah, he's locked himself in his house with his two kids. He said he's going to kill anybody who comes within 100 feet of him. But we'll get him out. He can't get away with stuff like that around here. Why don't you come along and see the fun?
Fun?
Maybe we will in a little while.
See the fun?
I think they're going to try and lynch Rusak.
Oh, we mustn't let them, Bob.
No, we mustn't let them.
So Betty and Bob have come to the country for rest and quiet. But the same emotions, the same passions, the same hatreds, the same loves, the same prejudices stir men and women everywhere. If one is enlisted in the army of righteousness, as Betty and Bob have been since they took over the trumpet, it seems that there are battles to be fought everywhere. Be sure to listen when next we meet Betty and Bob to find out what they will do about the case of Frank Rusak. This is Milton Cross again, ladies and gentlemen, inviting you to take a moment to listen to an important message. Join us when we next meet Betty and Bob. Your announcer, Milton Cross.
June 16th, 1947, Betty and Bob here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And if my ears are not mistaken, I have very little information on this episode except a number of the people who appeared on the show. That sounds like Arlene Francis. I'm not certain. It could also be Mercedes McCambridge. They both portrayed the role of Betty in Betty and Bob. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit our webpage, classicradio.stream. Stream our shows. Learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can find our social media links there, and you can also buy me a coffee. That Buy Me a Coffee money helps us acquire additional classic radio collections and helps us maintain our distribution channels. That's classicradio.stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tell all your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, right here on your favorite radio station.